The statement 79 is to something as 23 is to 100 means the two ratios are equal or in proportion to one another.
Suppose 30% of the students in this school want to go to the basketball game. Now that 30%, that doesn't tell you much unless you know how many students there were in the school. You don't know how many, but you can set up a whole set of proportions and say, oh, if there were 100 students in the school, that means 30 of them wanted to go. If there were 200, 60. If there were 300, 90. All of those are equal proportions. 30 out of 100, 60 out of 200, 90 out of 300, and so on. You can get any number of these proportions, go on forever. A proportion is easy. A proportion is an equality of two ratios. It's when you have two ratios and you say they're equal, then you get a proportion. And when you have four numbers like this, 2, 3, 6, and 9, that are in ratios that are equal, you call them proportional. A way to do this problem using ratios is to say, oh, the ratio of 84 miles to 60 miles. If I could travel 60 miles in 5 hours, I can say, oh, then I have gone 60/84ths of the distance. So I have 60 miles, and I've gone 60/84ths of the distance, and it took me 5 hours, and so the ratio of the times is going to be the same as the ratio of the distances, and I put an unknown here, if you like, x hours, and these ratios are equal.
When you set up proportional ratios, you're often trying to solve for a missing term. Well, you may have learned to solve these problems using cross products. That is, when proportional ratios are set up on opposite sides of an equal sign, the numerator of one times the denominator of the other equals the product of the other two terms. So that's 30 times 3, 0 is 90, and 18 times 5 is 90.
And we know with a proportionate, when we multiply the cross product, if they truly are proportionate, the cross products will be equal. So if we look at this one here, we do 2 times 10 is here on our left side of the equation, 5 times the letter m. So a letter next to a number means multiplication. This is the right side of our equation. So our ultimate goal is to solve this. Each line, notice I do one thing. 2 times 10 is 20. 5m remains the same. Now remember, this is multiplication. Remember we talked about that brother-sister relationship? What is a relative of multiplication? Remember? Division. So in order to get m by itself, which is our ultimate goal, we know that when the part is the same as the whole, it equals 1. So we divided 5m by 5. We are allowed to do that in an equation as long as we balance. Remember we took a look at that scale in the algebra chapter. As long as we balance the equation. So we divided both sides by 5. 20 divided by 5 was 4. 5m divided by 5 is m.